Okay, we're at the top of the app. Just whilst people are still coming in, I just thought I might just start off. So obviously, Michelle already knows, but for those of you who maybe joining us for the first time, this is the third event of a three-part series all about really getting started with accounting technology. Obviously, we're aware that as accounting software providers, that people use our products, and really we want to try and help people start to really maximize their use. We want to get away from tech for tech's sake. We want the technology that we provide to have play an essential role within your businesses. And the advice that we've been given over the last 3 weeks, we hope it enables you to do that. So obviously, Aynsley and I have been on the sessions for the last 2 weeks. Ollie's very kindly jumped in to help us today, give a little bit of his insight. Ollie's the Commercial Director of Capitalise. Ollie, do you want to start off with a bit of an introduction to yourself, a bit of an introduction to Capitalise, just for the audience hearing for the first time for you today?
Yeah, sure. So Ollie, as I say, thank you, and thank you for inviting me to the third one. It's a great subject. So I'm the Commercial Director at Capitalise, as you say. We've been around for about 5 years. I've been there for about 4.5 of those years, so just after the product became a thing. We're a funding and capital marketplace, and we actually help build funding and capital advisory teams within firms. I come from an accounting background. I spent the majority of my 20s as a corporate finance accountant, fundraising for businesses in the small and mid cap. So I'm now about maybe 17 years into funding small businesses, and so I've come from quite a lot of background there. And yeah, that's us.
Excellent. For those of you who haven't met me yet, I'm Jonathan Stobart, the marketing manager at Accountancy Manager. My background is that I spent 10 years working at a practice within the Midlands, 120 staff, 3 offices, really forward thinking in regards to accounting tech. Started using Xero back in 2009. So really seeing that process of trying to bring technology into the firm, trying to get staff to embrace this as well. That was obviously something that we've discussed on a previous session, and really taking the firm on the journey, taking the clients on a journey to try and get them to embrace the solutions that we provide as well. Obviously, I've kind of jumped ship to the vendor side, and because obviously I really believe in the Accountancy Manager product. I think we're providing a really good solution for our users. It's onboarding and practice management software in a nutshell. Really helps you organise your practice, automate the admin involved in running your practice, and we're really proud of the software and the feedback that we get from people. And I'll probably touch on some of the feedback that we get from our users on today's session. Just I know it provides a positive return on investments. Aynsley, do you want to give a quick intro to yourself and clarity for those that maybe joined us for the first time today?
Absolutely. So I am an accountant, still an accountant. I have possibly handed back my practicing certificate maybe a year ago. I left KPMG and built and sold my own multi-award-winning, multi-million-dollar revenue accounting firm, specializing in providing business advisory services to high-growth entrepreneurs and small business owners. I sold that to Crow 2 years ago to focus on Clarity. And at Clarity, we effectively provide a bridge that makes the complex worlds of business and numbers beautifully simple. So we help accountants enrich the lives of their clients by helping them and giving them the tools and technology to help them with their clients give clarity over the numbers, where they are now, where they could get to, what that gap is, create an action and financial plan to close that gap, help them fund those action plans, and also help them monitor and measure results versus actual, so that we can help continuously improve those small business clients as we go, driving small business success.
Excellent. Thanks, Aynsley. So that's us. Please do feel free to post in the chat box who you are, where you're joining us from today. And if you've got any questions about what we're saying as we're going along, please do feel free to post them in the chat box, post them to panelists and all attendees, just so everybody else can get involved in the conversation, and we'd welcome questions as we go. So guys, should we get started? So as I said, today's session is all about how to prove a positive return on investment on your accounting technology. We don't want to be just using tech for tech's sake. We want the software that our users are using to actually play an essential role within their practices. So I suppose let's kind of kick off. For some accounting technology, it's opening up a new service line, which is what we've discussed on the previous session. And surely the new service line is going to then start being profitable and creating positive return on investments. Aynsley, should I come to you for this one first? Is a new service line for clients, is that enough to prove a positive return on investment?
No, absolutely not. I think let's just step back to the last one as well, and bring forward a little bit. So we need to make sure that technology fits into our strategy and our objectives and our operational plans. So that's critical. The software needs to be solving a problem that we've got. It needs to be creating value and adding value. Now, I think the first big point here is, what's the return for you? So what return are you looking for? Because as we know here, Ollie and I will very clearly demonstrate how ours can easily generate a return from a money perspective for the firm. So very, very clear how Clarity and Capitalise together provide a money return. So is money the return that you're looking for? Is it time? Because it may not necessarily be purely financial. It might be about time, or it might be about more freedom for the firm. So I think we do need to understand, first of all, what return we're looking for. We also need to understand what is our measure of success before we get started. So how much of that return are we looking for? Are we looking to break even? Are we looking to make a significant impact? Are there some unquantifiable measures that we don't really know about, so we're kind of feeling where we go? And I think it's really, really critical as a firm that we set our targets and timelines about when we want to achieve those returns as well. And I think Ollie and I will probably particularly say as well, it's very easy to generate a quick ROI, but how do we sustain that ROI, and how do we keep that ROI going and going and going? How do we embed it within the firm's systems and processes? So I think it's not just about creating a new service line. It is absolutely thinking, what are we trying to achieve? Does it fit into our firm strategy and objectives? Is that service line a quick ROI? How do we maintain that ROI? And then look at this, the measures and the timelines that we put in place, so that we can absolutely create that plan and then measure and monitor, as we would do for our clients, measure and monitor for our own firm versus that plan, to see how we're doing on achieving our objectives and our strategy.
Ollie, I'm going to come to you for that then. So how have you seen users embed Capitalise within their firms and make it a long-term profitable service line?
Yeah. I mean, this is just reminding me think of a really early story, actually, of as I left the accounting industry. I kind of why Capitalise is what we are. So I moved to help build after leaving accounting, I moved to build a peer-to-peer lender called Market Invoice, which is now called Market Finance. And actually, I was meeting accountants and talking to them about how they could bring funding into their firms. And I was with a very, very savvy kind of cloud first. And you're talking, this is 8 years ago, and they were like, "I've just spent 2 days meeting lenders and meeting people because I'm really keen to bring funding into the practice and actually do something that was key." And it resonated so strongly with me that what an interesting thing that an accountant was so invested in wanting to bring funding to his clients because he saw it as a key thing to grow, but was actually spending 2 days a month trying to do that, trying to gain the knowledge he thought he needed to be good enough to give an impartial view, a widespread view of the market. And in a market that had 300 plus lenders in it, that was an extremely tricky thing to do. And so actually, when we started looking at what Capitalise was and how to grow Capitalise, that was one of the key meetings that resonated with me and has built what we build today. Because it's really important when you're thinking about ROI, is how much time does it take for you as a business to embed a new service into your business? And in our space, does that mean meeting like 30, 40 lenders on a fairly regular basis, fielding all those calls, and when you're looking to do funding, going to them all at once? And really, realistically, the premise of what Capitalise was built on was that very pain point was the fact that just having and managing one platform, one relationship for that meant that you actually had a huge time saving, let alone any of the potential revenue gains of what we can do. That was actually just a massive time saving to know that you're now going to the whole wider market. As an accountant, you're happy that you've gone to, we've got 110 lenders on the platform. And that meant that you didn't have to continue having these meetings, and that you could actually kind of make that far more efficient. So I suppose that's a slightly long way of saying it, but it was really interesting. This subject was exactly why we looked to build Capitalise.
And I suppose, yeah, well, you've touched on time saving there. Of course, accountancy manager. That's in a nutshell what we're all about. We're trying to save our users time in regards to automation. And I think it kind of lends itself to the new way of working these days. In that, no longer do we have to do everything manually. No longer do we have to write out each individual email that then gets sent to each client. I think not just in accounting, but in all businesses, we very much accepted stuff like mass emailing with platforms such as MailChimp, for instance. Now, taking that sort of theory, that sort of automation, we're now just trying to utilize that within the accounting industry. Accountancy Manager is obviously an example of that. Again, Capitalise trying to provide an environment where you don't have to go and talk to everybody, just do it once, work in a more efficient manner. And I think that's probably one of the biggest benefits that technology can provide. It's an increased amount of efficiency, more time saved for you to be able to focus on your business, giving advice to clients that they actually probably prefer, probably value a little bit more. You probably utilising clarity to then be able to give that sort of business advisory services that clients like. Aynsley, what have you seen in regards to saving users time?
Well, I think particularly from a clarity perspective, look, I'm an accountant. I was in practice. We were heavily involved in business advisory services. We probably created a complete monster, if I'm being honest. It was a monster that we made our clients feel really special, cared, and loved for. But the services and the consulting services that we were offering were really deep. They were heavy. They were difficult to resource. It took a lot of senior manager and partner time to deliver that work. And effectively, we created not a repeatable, scalable offering. And it became, I think, harder and harder and harder for us to raise expectations and to continuously meet client expectations. I think the big challenge that we saw from an advisory perspective was that, yeah, of course, in a typical accounting firm, we look after 10 or 20% of clients. We love and care for them. They pay us good fees. They get good contact with the managers and partners who are asking questions naturally and inherently. And the clients are asking for what they need help with, and the firm is inherently delivering that. So it all works for the top 10, 20%. And whether that's a structured process or not, it just works. The real challenge is the other 80% of clients that are just getting an accounts and tax returns service. And Ollie and I will both be, and you will too, Jonathan, coming from the same angle on this, is that how do we engage our entire team to be able to help that other 80% that is desperately looking for either business support, for funding, or just help with more efficient and effective tax return process and making sure they're not missing deadlines from a compliance perspective. So it's about how do we get a scalable solution that frees up the time of the senior team. It doesn't necessarily need huge input from them. We're leveraging technology. We're doing it in a way that's doing all that heavy lifting and doing all that systems and process and the mundane work so that our team can follow and can use that technology and put that emotional intelligence input that's required for dealing with a small business owner. So I think that's I suppose from a time-saving perspective, what we were looking to do in practice. It wasn't necessarily from a compliance perspective. We had systems and processes to really fly through that compliance element. It was how do we now make that added value more systems and process so that we can scale it, get it to more clients and get more of the team involved, freeing up the time of the senior team. And so that's pretty much what we were trying to do and have tried to do. And everything has been built around that process from a time perspective.
Aynsley, you mentioned a minute ago about setting targets and having a review process on the systems that you're using. In your experience, how frequently should we be reviewing maybe the accounting tech that we're using?
Oh, crikey. I mean, we launched in September last year at Xerocon in Brisbane, and my God, how much have we added to our platform? I mean, I thought the world of accounting moved fast until I moved into tech. We had to launch quickly a beta version, and we started on weekly sprints. And in most tech companies, they work on 2 weekly, fortnightly sprints. And because those weekly sprints worked so well, we just continued after beta launch. And the amount of changes that happens in our platform is scary over a month or 2-3 months process, let alone a 6-12 month. So I think it's not good enough to I suppose, leave it until 12 months to review. I think when we're looking at strategy and plans for a business, 12 months is a better time frame, because we can keep chopping those plans. We can keep moving and changing those plans on a regular basis. But when we're looking at the actual implementation, when we're looking at results, when we're looking at how those activities that we've planned for, how they're actually operating in practice, then that's got to be a regular review process. Now, if we were dealing with a client, a small business client, we'd be saying to them, we need to meet you monthly. We need to look at your budgets versus your actuals on a monthly basis. We need to understand what activities you're doing and not doing, what's happening to the bottom line, which activities are generating results, which aren't, and what do we need to do about it? Well, I think the exact same thing probably needs to happen obviously from an accounting perspective in a numbers game, but it also needs to happen, I think, when we're looking at implementing technology and driving change and driving service lines across the business. So we need to be setting targets. We need to be understanding where we are on those targets, and we need to be understanding why we're failing. Is the technology failing, which sometimes people automatically assume it's the technology's fault? Or is it maybe that we haven't done the right activities, put in place the right processes, engaged the team sufficiently to drive through that change process? So I think it is firm dependent. It does depend on what processes you've put in place. It does depend on what's targets and what timelines you've put in place, but it does need regular review. And obviously, we're not talking about a complete service line review here. We're actually saying, does the technology meet those objectives? Is it working for us? Do we need to change the way we're using it? Or do we need to possibly think about another piece of technology?
And we've definitely seen that within our firm, of the fact that we now have a head of education. We have a full online kind of education system, and our account managers are actually meeting people on a fairly regular basis, talking about the kind of metrics and what they want to achieve from bringing capital advisory and funding into their practice. So actually having constant checkups and looking at kind of internal education has been a key driver of actually making it even more successful within firms. So it's very important you don't just let your technology stack just sit there quietly in the background. You know, the companies such as ourselves and Clarity are really keen to get in there and with the kind of coaching and how to use the platform, how to get more out of it. I think that's really key. So to not let these systems lie in the background, but to really utilize them and focus in on how you can create true ROI out of each one.
So that's a great message, Ollie. I think, you know, engaging with your software vendors is essential in order to maximise your use of the software. I suppose also embracing the communities that use the technology. So you know, you only have to look at accounting web, Facebook. There's lots of different communities talking about accounting software out there, and you can reach out, talk to existing users about how they're using the software and compare that to your use of the software, and perhaps learn from them, or vice versa. Maybe help somebody else, you know, share some advice on how you've seen it working. I want to move on to the data that technology provides then. So obviously we're saying that technology is going to enable people to save a lot of time, but above and beyond the time saving, the data that the tech's going to provide is going to enable these accountants to make better business decisions. Ollie, how have you seen your users utilising the data that Capitalise provides in order to make better business decisions and ultimately, you know, prove a positive return on investment?
Yeah, I mean, so it's really about using data to speed the processes up and get the right information in as quickly as you possibly can. No kind of, you know, and that's been one of the key things. The interesting thing about the data in the SME market is it's quite hard to make very accurate predictions on where you can go forward with that data. But what you can do is you can collate it in a really effective way. And so particularly in our case is you'll be displaying it to the kind of lenders that we choose with you, and they have everything they could possibly need with a reasonably short amount of work to kind of complete the funding process. So that's really how I'd say it can be used. And also it can be used to kind of highlight what Aynsley said was really important about the additional kind of 80% of or maybe the long tail of your customer base, actually using data analytics with them to actually highlight people that are in changes in their business, maybe starting to move into a mature cycle, or actually maybe in decline and need some form of enhance, or maybe they've got some form of exit event or succession planning, and actually to look at trends within those businesses. And that could be the time the right phone call at the right time. Because I'd be very surprised if you had the ability for particularly senior level people in your firm to call every single one of your clients on a regular basis. So using data to actually look at who will be the right people to speak to at the right time could enhance the efficiency of your service, and actually do a great service to your clients, because you've got to a point and you're telling them about something that's happening in their life that they may not actually be fully aware of themselves. Businesses really do live in the day and in the moment, and not a huge amount of them plan effectively for what's going to happen over the next 3 to 6 months, let alone the next 2 to 3 years.
It's an interesting point you're saying about how the different stages of the business, maybe their use of their technology might differ depending on what sort of stage of business is at. I suppose it's similar to the accountants themselves in the different types of stage their firms at, maybe the way they embrace technology, or maybe it's the different size firms. Does the review process, does the use of technology differ if you're a small firm to if you're a large firm, multiple office practice? Aynsley, do you think it differs at all, or should it differ, I suppose?
I think ultimately, yes, it will. But I think ultimately, when we're using that technology or we're using that data to converse with small business owners, we've got to be aware of one really major factor. Business is complex. The world is complex. It's getting more so. Data is coming into our small businesses, their owners, from all angles. So if you just think about it, even yourself in a normal day, how many emails you get, notifications on social media, texts, WhatsApps, you name it, information's coming in at all sides. Then you've got the media, you've got newspapers, you've got articles to read up, you've got things to keep abreast of. That's absolutely colossal, when we compare the data that's generated in a day now to when it was in the 1800s. Absolutely, voluminous data that's coming at us. And the reality is that, with all that data, our small business owners are drowning in that information. There's too much. It's really hard for them. They are running around servicing their clients or customers, whatever they call them. They're having to deal with their team. They're having to deal with cash flow, paying VAT bills, paying payroll. Where am I going to get the money? How can I get funded? They are just, in a tailspin often. And what we need to be doing as accountants is we need to be making that data, that complex data, simple. We need to be stripping it back, and we need to be giving our clients actionable insights, sound bites that they can actually take action on and can drive their business and drive their results, or help them, as Ollie suggests, in advance of saying, you're going to need money in 3 months' time. Am I? Well, that's a hugely valuable thing to be able to ring up a small business owner and say to them, based on the data that we see at the moment, if you continue the way you're going to run out of cash. How fantastic to be able to pick up the phone and say, we can help you with that. Now, that's the kind of, I think, taking that big data, bringing it down small and bite-sized pieces, and giving insights behind that data so that the business owner can understand it and can take action on it. So I think that's critical, no matter whether you're a big firm or a small firm. The data that you use and the access to the data has also been democratized, I think, with cloud technology. So it used to be that only the big companies could get access to big data and had big machines and servers to crunch that data. But now, like an app like Clarity couldn't have been built even 5 years ago, 3 years ago. With Amazon Web Services and the way technology is moving, the APIs, the collaboration between various software companies, and that whole connectivity of data means that we can now crunch lots of data, lots of numbers, and do it fast and give insights back to the relevant individuals for them to be able to interpret that and then take action on it. So I think, yes, there will be different sizes of tech and different elements of tech that are used, and the same tech used different ways between different sizes of accounting firms. But I think much more nowadays, smaller firms are getting access to the tools and the technology that previously was the reserve of the big firms, preserve of the big firms.
The comparison to the modern day way of working to, the past, for instance, I thought was really interesting. We've never had the challenges that we currently face in regards to, like quite rightly saying, the information that's out there, but also the pace at which we're all working. I think that the challenges that business owners and accountants are facing. We need to find new ways of working to work more efficiently. I think, in comparison to maybe the past, we're all working harder for less, working longer hours, particularly over the COVID period. I think that the 9 to 5 working hours have kind of got blurred. So how can we claw back some time? Obviously, I'm always going to say that accountancy manager is the solution in that regards. But let's just talk big picture. Let's talk about the technology as a whole. Utilize the platforms, utilize the efficiencies that are there for you in order to just bring back a healthier work-life balance. I've seen that we've had a question coming from the audience. Thank you, Michelle. With so many different software options out there, how do we know we're choosing the right option without spending many hours doing the trials? Time is precious. You're quite right. Thing right now. Ollie, can I come to you for that one? Have you got some thoughts on how to go about choosing the right software?
Well, I think first you've got to choose what is the strategic priorities for your firm. What's your customer? Look at your customer base and what do you think you could do to help them further? Have you got a whole load of customers that are kind of looking to grow, or they're in the mature cycle? That's the kind of piece you could consider. And then actually I'd say maybe even looking at other people and what other firms are using, and firms that you would believe that are doing the right thing, and looking for them. There's also a few places where you can have a look at which the kind of various apps that are out there, but it's actually a tricky one, because a lot of times you could have come to some events and kind of seen everyone at once and just kind of taken that day on. But realistically, it's kind of coming to webinars like this, listening to people that you think you believe are kind of going the right way, and then really don't try and do too much at once, but really kind of decide which is your key decision with kind of, are you trying to streamline your business? Are you trying to look to have more clarity around your conversations with your clients? Are you looking to start funding your clients? Those are kind of key things you've got to decide, and then kind of focus in on the kind of platforms there that can help you.
Excellent. I would add to that by saying talk to the software vendors as well.
Yeah.
So when you first start doing your research, you're going to look around. There's lots of different software, all offering similar different packages. I think it's about trying to find a piece of software that best suits your processes. But if it doesn't quite suit your processes, do talk to software vendors. How can it be tailored? From our perspective, we can customize a system to suit your processes, which probably, if you just look at the website and you don't engage, you're probably not going to appreciate that. So please do talk to your vendors in order to maximise your use. Aynsley, have you got any comments on how to go about choosing software?
Well, God, crikey, we were very early adopters of cloud back in 2008-9, and I probably have tried every single piece of software that's out there over the years to see what was the right software. So it is really, as Ollie says, it's a really, really tricky one. I also think it's a little bit of a leap of faith sometimes. I wouldn't go all in with a piece of software until I tested it. So I would definitely, if I've looked at something and think it feels right, and it touches and smells right, and I'm going to try it, I'm not going to roll it out across my client base instantly. I'm going to take it in, I'm going to trial it, I'm going to see how it works, and does it do as it said. And that way it gives you a good understanding of the issues and challenges, what my problem really is that solving it or is it not? What are the issues and challenges with that solving the problem that I think I have? Because I've always said this is kind of like red pill, blue pill. Do I change my systems and processes because they're rubbish and that actually is a great piece of kit that I need to fit around? Or are my systems and processes the best that could be, and therefore that tech has definitely got to fit into my systems and processes? It's a really tricky question. And it's like, some people are Apple obsessed, for example, and no matter what Apple brings out, they're going to go for it because they know ultimately they've bought into Apple, they've bought into their vision, they know where they're going, they get what it's about, and they know that that problem is going to be fixed if there's initial teething issues or problems, or they hope it is. I think with technology, it's a little bit like that leap of faith too. We're a new app, so for us to break through the noise and get through all that is being talked about in the marketplace and people shouting and jumping on the business advisory bandwagon, well, we're accountants that have been there and done it. We know what business advisory means on the ground for an accountant, what it actually means in to deliver and to engage businesses with. And so sometimes you might need to look at who the founders are, what their vision for their piece of software is, and how that fits into your vision for your firm. And as Ollie said, does it fit into your strategic objectives? It might be, for example, that your strategy is to offer low-cost compliance services en masse and scale. And therefore, you're looking at technology that's going to enable you to systemize and process and make that throughput much faster. If you're looking for added value solutions like Capitalise and Clarity, then you're going to need to understand, what do we do to solve the problem that we had? Because it generally comes from a problem that we've all had, and how are we looking to solve that problem, and does that kind of fit with where you are going? But ultimately, you can't be testing, I'm afraid. It's got to be tested. But absolutely, talk to the people that you trust, talk to people that you know, look at the reviews of the software, get a feel for it, do your research before you plump for one, but don't just jump all in. Do trial it.
Michelle's asked a second, and people don't think that I've made this up, but you're offering bookkeeping services. You need something to streamline onboarding and request information from clients. Michelle, that is Accountancy Manager in a nutshell. And I'll obviously pick that up with you,
when I read it.
I know, that is amazing. So I'll pick it up with you afterwards, Michelle. But circling back to the topic of today's session, Michelle, hopefully we'll get in touch and you'll maybe start using Accountancy Manager going forward. Requesting information from clients, that will all be automated. Then you'll start seeing a return on investment in regards to the amount of time that we're saving you. Hopefully, I'd like to think that all of our users start using the software, start seeing the time that they're saving. I talk to users all the time, and they manage to break down the amount of time that they're saving. And I was talking to a user who's saying that he saves 150 hours a month by automating elements of the service that no longer has to be done manually. And that's what we're talking about in regards to, let's work in a more tech-friendly, tech-embracing manner that's going to make us all work more efficiently. Give yourself some time back. Utilize that time to maybe focus on delivering even more services, more advisory services to clients, or just spend it at home. Balance out that work-life balance. Do stuff that you want to do. Okay, guys, I'm conscious that we're trying to keep the sessions to half an hour. So, Ollie, can I come to you for any final comments just to wrap up the session?
Well, so as a firm, we believe as a firm, guys, going back to my old days, as a company, we believe that we really can help bring ROI into your business, to help build a new service line, and really the best thing to do is hear it from us, and come to capitalise.com, book a consultation. One of our team can kind of talk you through the benefits that we can bring, and so hopefully it's something you can do, and we're excited to hear from you and bring you into the fold.
Excellent. Aynsley, we've come to the end of our three-part series. I like to think that we've managed to deliver some useful advice for those that have tuned in about how to get started with accounting technology. I hope that people will learn stuff and we can take them through that initial stages of using tech, and that maybe they're 3 months down the line, they kind of look back and go, yeah, actually, I picked up some useful tips there. And now the software that I'm using really works for me. You've got any final thoughts just to wrap up, not only today's session, but the 3 sessions that we've done so far?
Yeah, absolutely, John. I mean, it's been great to do them. I think we've been hugely, driven on providing educational content and content that was helping our accounting members. And neither you or I have indulged in pitching over the 3 series, but I would like to end on a pitch and let you know that, particularly from an ROI perspective, as an accountant in practice, I was constantly fed up with being told I had to split the cost of the software amongst my clients and swallow it within the fee. And I definitely wanted to create something that was not like that whatsoever. And we have created a route map that enables accountants to effectively generate an extra 200K profit per 100 small business clients. And that's proven route map that's worked, that's working, that continues to work. So if you are interested in generating an ROI, not just for your firm though, but for your clients as well. This is about adding value to your clients so that you can add value for your firm too. And it comes from a place of knowledge. It's multi-award winning frameworks that have been put together in a way that leverages the power of technology to engage 100% of the team delivering business advisory to 100% of the clients, effectively giving small business owners what they're looking for. So that's the end of the pitch for me. If you are looking to make more profit, you can certainly get 200k per 100 business clients using Clarity, and we can show you how to do that very simply and quickly. One of our members got 42k GRF in his first 2 weeks. Another one has just done 24k. So it's eminently possible to do a quick ROI as well with Clarity, but this is about the long term. This is about how we help you embed it and fit it into your strategic processes and objectives, and how you actually make it work for your firm and your clients. So that's end of pitch. I think from a technology perspective, it's been really, really interesting to hear from Ollie and from Helen at Futurely, and to hear the views on the strategic decision making that goes into play before starting to jump in with a piece of tech. Because I think as accountants, and I've been guilty of this, we've seen a shiny object, we jump in, we think, well, this would be cool. We go back to the team, and the team are going, oh my God, not another piece of tech that they're bringing back to look at. I think it's really, really critical to do the groundwork in advance, to have that plan, to have that strategy, to understand what you're trying to achieve, to understand the problems and issues that the firm is suffering, and what you're looking for the technology to solve. So I think that's been really, really clear from both, and it's been awesome to work with all four of you.
Excellent, thanks, Aynsley. I'm just going to finish off by saying we obviously passionately believe that using accounting technology correctly will make a positive difference to your business. And from accounting manager's perspective, obviously I know I've just touched on it with Michelle's questions. We're all about streamlining the onboarding process and reducing the admin involved in running an accountancy practice. Save yourself the time. Don't bog yourself down with admin anymore. We don't have to do that. Let's work in a 2021 manner. Let's work efficiently. Let's maximize technologies to its fullest to enable you to, as I say, do what you do best. Give advice to clients. That's what clients want from you, and or readdress the work-life balance. Let's work and live healthier lives, and we just hope that Accountancy Manager can help save time in order for you to do that. Thank you to everybody that's joined us for today's session and for the 3 sessions that we've hosted so far. When Aynsley and I started first talking about the 3-part process, I was kind of thinking, well, when we get to the end of that, end of November, that seemed ages away, and here we are. I know everyone keeps saying it, but I can't believe how quick this year's gone. We're going to be rolling into December next week, which just seems unbelievable. Thank you everyone for joining us today. If you've got any further questions, please do feel free to drop them in the chat, and the 3 of us will hang around for a few moments to answer it. But apart from that, thank you very much, and we'll see you soon.
So Ollie, why should they choose Capitalise? Somebody's saying there's so much fluff out there. How can we know which software to choose? Why Capitalise?
Well, it's just straight in there. So I mean, we've got a tried and tested way of building a funding team within your firm. So you guys we've done it successfully with many other firms, and we've built really great teams within them. Because I truly believe that it's your accountant and your client managers who should be talking about the kind of funding opportunities that are out there, rather than external consultants. So it really is something that you can bed inside your practice rather than refer it out. Because one of the interesting things we've found is when you've got a company that you've in your portfolio base that's looking for funding, actually, if they are looking for funding, there's a reason they're looking for funding, and there's a trajectory that they're on. And so if you understand that they want this 100, 200 grand to do something, then actually that's the client that's looking for more help from you as an accountant. It's looking for some forecasts, it's looking for some general conversations about how they're going to do that and how they're going to budget. And so we've always found that funding is a really interesting way of getting to know your clients on a much deeper level.
Good.
How's that?
Good. So Michelle, if you're still there, just do it.
Yeah, Michelle, I can't begin to express how passionately I believe that Accountancy Manager would be able to help you. Yeah, as I say, let's have a chat. We can't lose anything just by exploring the conversations and explain how we feel that we could help you in streamlining your onboarding process and reducing your admin.
And can I just thank Ollie as well? Thanks for coming on, Ollie. And I completely agree. accountants are the front line. They are the best placed to help small business owners, not just in the current time, but in general, they are best placed because they truly understand the metrics and the numbers and the scalable, sustainable, affordable, all those words that are just put into actual numbers. They get it in spades, and they're the ones best placed to help small businesses. So I'm passionate about small business, but I'm passionate about helping accountants and helping accountants help small businesses.
Cool. Exactly. Well, thank you very much. And thanks for having me.
No, thank you very much for joining us. Okay,
if we've got no more questions, are we going to say thank you very much to everybody and goodbye?
Cool. I think so. Thank you, everybody. And yeah, we look forward to you joining us next time. See you now.
Thank you.